Godzilla, King Kong. The epic rivalry of East and West that has endured for 6 decades. And thanks to Legendary's Monsterverse, the long-awaited rematch has taken place, and Godzilla has finally redeemed himself, defeating the one opponent that fate had kept him apart from for far too long. But now, we see that the story isn't done, as it seems Legendary is determined to show the world that the rivalry between Kong and Godzilla is just as strong as ever. The two legendary icons are set to collide yet again in Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. The sequel plans to shed light on the ancient rivalry between the species and reveal just what happened down in the Hollow Earth. While the filmmakers have confirmed that Godzilla and Kong will clash yet again in this outing, the rivalry has now reached a new point of tense allyship, where they will now have to work together to stop a new threat that rivals them both for the throne. As you expect, the Omniviewer has called on us to gather once again and celebrate moments across the entirety of Kaiju Eiga. And of course, I would like to take the opportunity to examine a moment in Godzilla's history to commemorate this upcoming movie. I am the Linkzilla. Join me as I rediscover one of these moments from the franchise, one that perfectly demonstrates why Godzilla has endured since their original fight, and why he has become a symbol of strength to a generation of fans, and why he is truly deserving of being the king of the monsters in one monstrous moment. Man, time is really flying by, isn't it, kid? It feels like just yesterday you were getting ready for Godzilla -1, and now here you are prepping up for the new Empire. Indeed it does, Casey. In fact, it doesn't feel too long ago I was breathlessly waiting for Godzilla vs. Kong, the rematch of the century. And no sooner than the dust settles, they've gone and made a new one in no time. As opposed to the 5 years it took for King of the Monsters to happen. Yeah, you ain't never getting over that. But still, it seems like with this new direction, the Monsterverse is finally gaining some traction. So, what's on the docket for this monstrous moment? You gonna regale us with another Godzilla moment that was inspired by real-world history? Not this time, Carl. Instead, I'd like to keep it simple and strictly within the world established in the Godzilla movie universe, particularly the Showa era, with only the slightest references to real-world meta. Oh, this is gonna give me headaches. I can feel it. See, Carl, my perspective on the genre is that while The Lost World, released in 1925, which will be celebrating its 100th anniversary next year, was the first live-action feature-length dinosaur movie, the title of the first genuine monster movie goes to King Kong in 1933. Dinosaurs are what they are, but it's Kong who is the oversized misfit in a world that is too small for him. It also helps that we get a clear indication from as far back as the original film that Kong is a character, allowing us to sympathize or even identify with him, setting him apart from the savage dinosaurs that populate Skull Island as his neighbors. So I guess what you're saying is, King Kong was the original king of the monsters. Right you are, Carl. By being the top of that primordial ecosystem, the apex predator, as it were, Kong was the top dog in a world that was completely unknown, a prehistoric world that might as well be alien to us. And it was up to Kong, as its leader, to keep this world in check. That's what I believe the purpose of being King of the Monsters is, Carl, to keep the other monsters of your dominion in line. And we see Kong battling all kinds of other beastly baddies in Skull Island's menagerie to take the island by the reins and bring them all to heel. Take it by the horns is more like it. So where does Godzilla fit into all of this? Glad you asked, Carl. See, while Kong's popularity caused a boom in giant movie monsters, not just in Hollywood, but overseas in Japan, I think it's safe to say that none of them ever rose to the same popularity as Kong. Therefore, none of them could even hope to rival Kong. And each time King Kong was re-released in theaters, it proved to be a box office hit. Keep in mind, there was no such thing as home media back then, so seeing a movie at the picture show was the only way to see it, and this proved that audiences couldn't get enough of the big ape. And so, Kong was king, and reigned for 21 glorious years. That's where Godzilla comes in. He wasn't the first, as Japan had experimented with other Daikaiju films beforehand, but he was undoubtedly the only one of them that became a major star. Ironically, however, it wasn't Japan, but the US that gave Godzilla his most iconic title, as it was the 1956 redub of the original Gojira that dubbed Godzilla as King. In hindsight, it really is amazing that that's what they named the movie here in the States. It's like they knew it was not only going to be a smash hit, but that the character would be an icon lasting for decades. Right you are, Carl, because not surprisingly, Toho took this title and ran with it. I believe that throughout the next 20 years of the Showa era, Toho wanted to portray Godzilla as having been worthy of the title of King of the Monsters. Later entries of the era show Godzilla doing as Kong had done on Skull Island, patrolling Monster Island, and picking fights in an attempt to keep the other kaiju in line. And whenever the world is threatened by monsters of an extraterrestrial nature, Godzilla does his duty as king and is ready to defend his territory, that being the entire planet. One might almost say that the original King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962 was a metaphorical passing of the torch moment. Kong going into retirement and abdicating the throne to his young and worthy successor. That sounds like it could be the topic for its own video, so how about we get to your monstrous moment already? Fair enough, Carl. For this video, I wanted to do a moment that I feel highlights why Godzilla... Kid, what the heck was that? I don't know, Carl. We seem to be getting some kind of interference. Sensors are detecting some kind of temporal energy shift. A tempura unagi what? It's a distortion in space and time. I don't know what's causing it, but I'm pretty sure some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nonsense is gonna happen. Temporal distortion stabilizing. Source still unknown. We'll investigate extent of extortion damage. Oh no, what the hell are you doing here, you barbaric gorilla? You! I should have known. Did you cause this temporal distortion? Me? How dare you accuse me when it's clearly you who mess around and broke time? Kid? Why are there now two versions of you? I get enough of a headache dealing with just one of yous. Oh, where are my manners? Kolchak Creeper, this brutish interloper is Ling Kong, my less articulate counterpart from an alternate universe where I foolishly decided to spirit bond with King Kong instead of Godzilla. Ape, this is Kolchak Creeper, answers to the name Carl, sometimes Darren. Charmed. Pleasure's all mine, I'm sure. So I take it that you guys don't care for each other? Of course not! Lizard Boy think him superior because part Godzilla. Supercilious, think him better than me. Well, forgive me for choosing to not become a flea-ridden simian whose solution to every problem is to fling Poe at it. Whatever. No time for this. Must repair temporal damage to separate our universes. Prevent you from interfering with my YouTube show. Me? If anything, you're interfering with my YouTube show, you knuckle-dragging Neanderthal. Because of this little temporal rip that you've caused, our universes are now exposed to each other, and it's interrupting my monstrous moment. No, temporal rip you caused is interrupting my monstrous moment, you haughty reptilian usurper. Wait, are you saying that you were doing your monstrous moment too? Uh-huh. We're both doing our monstrous moments at the same time? Seems possible. Our link halves think alike, after all. Wait a minute, I'm confused. Kid, you didn't cause the rift, and this guy claims he didn't cause it either. So what gives? Carl, I don't know how it's possible, but it seems that by some extraordinary coincidence, the two of us decided to do our monstrous moments at the same time, and somehow that act has such cosmic significance that the reaction is to temporarily blend our realities so that we both exist in the same space at the same time. And that's really the explanation we're going with? I'm afraid so, Carl. Huh. Well, that sounds like an incredibly convenient but also lazily written contrivance to allow this situation to occur. I like snarky creeper plush. He funny. So, how do we fix this, kid? If Monstrous Moment brought us together, then completing Monstrous Moment could be only way to separate us. So that being said, I'm not going to let this mouth-breathing flea bag distract me any longer, and I'm going to get to my monstrous moment. No! Puny, weak lizard boy, sit quiet and not distract me from finishing my monstrous moment. You're interrupting my show. You're interrupting my show! Fellas, if you two was brought together because you're both doing your monstrous moments, what if the only way to separate us is for yous to do your monstrous moments together? What? Oh, please, Carl, that would never work. That right. Me never work with arrogant fool like him. And I'm not doing cross-commentary with a walking carpet. Besides, our personalities are so different that our monstrous moments would be completely incompatible. Well, let's actually talk about that, see? Kid, what are you planning to do for your monstrous moment? I was going to take a moment from the late Showa era that demonstrates why Godzilla is king for showing his determination and willingness to get back up and fight even against dire circumstances. Alright. Now, Ape Kid, what did you plan to do? I, too, was going to take moment from late Showa era, demonstrate why Godzilla is king, showing determination and willingness to get back up and fight, even against dire circumstances. Well, there you go. Sounds pretty similar to me. Wait, you were planning to do your monstrous moment on Godzilla and not Kong? Well, yeah. Me prefer Kong, but Godzilla is king. I think this will work out for the best. You two can work together to deliver your monstrous moments, and our universes will be back to the ways they once was. But what if we end up doing the same moment? Then you'll both have to do commentary on it. Me willing to try if you are. Alright. Feel free to start us off with your monstrous moment. Moment in question come from 1972, Godzilla vs. Gigan. Underrated entry in franchise for use of stock footage, but one of my favorites. During climax of film, Ghidorah and Gigan force Godzilla into trap devised by Nebulans, painfully wounding Godzilla, disorienting him, and forcing him toward Godzilla Tower. Nebulans try kill Godzilla with Tower laser beam. Godzilla nearly killed, and Anguirus powerless to help him. Tower destroyed by human protagonists, but Godzilla still down and badly hurt. Worse, Ghidorah and Gigan, though freed from Nebulan control, are still sadistic toward Godzilla. Gigan approaches, lifts Godzilla, and strikes forehead, causing Godzilla to bleed. Godzilla too weak and disoriented to fight back. Gigan drags body back toward Ghidorah as if presenting trophy. Ghidorah flings Godzilla into remains of Tower, bringing it down. Gigan seems assured of victory, but this has negative effect. On crash, Godzilla revives and tears down Tower himself. This revitalizes his fighting spirit. As Gigan approaches, Godzilla turns to meet him, roaring defiantly to welcome oncoming challenge. This to me shows why Godzilla is king. Godzilla is hurt, nearly dead, and utterly defeated. Yet against this opposition and pain he's in, glaring through blood-stained eyes, he stand, ready to face opponents to the very end, will stop at nothing to end fight his way. This the defiance that show why Godzilla different than other monsters. Godzilla not give up. Him has determination of a true king and will fight to the death to protect his title. And as Godzilla roar, he beat his chest, readying himself for final round. Beating the chest is Kong's iconic action, its symbol of his authority and dominance. In way, Kong beating his chest is Kong's metaphorical crown, symbol of his status as king. Godzilla mirroring Kong in same way here shows torch has truly passed, and Godzilla truly ready to take mantle. The following fight showcasing Godzilla dominating Gigan and Ghidorah with help of Anguirus demonstrate that Godzilla has truly earned the title of King of the Monsters. For these reasons and more, me chose this to be my one monstrous moment. Wow, that was actually well thought out, and it fit perfectly with the themes the kid was establishing before your universe came barging in. What do you think, kid? Seems pretty articulate to me. Indeed. Good choice going with Godzilla vs. Gigan. It too was one of my favorites growing up, and the scene where Godzilla gets his fighting spirit back always did inspire me as well. But I had planned to do another moment, one that was similar, but wouldn't come for another few years. The moment in question comes from 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. It was Godzilla's 20th anniversary, and Toho celebrated by having the king truly meet his match, a mechanical doppelganger built by sinister simian aliens looking to take over the Earth, and designed with the express purpose of overwhelming, overpowering, and killing Godzilla. During their first fight, its arsenal of weapons manages to quickly overpower Godzilla and sends him tumbling into the ocean, a geyser of blood bubbling to the surface. This encounter sends a clear message that in this fight, to steal a line from Legendary's version,
My Mecha, it's not only Godzilla's equal, but his superior.
In fact, for most of the runtime, the characters are under the assumption that Godzilla is dead, hence the necessity to awaken King Caesar to stop the robot. But Godzilla is alive and returns in the climax for a rematch with grim determination and ready to fight. But even still, Mechagodzilla's variety of weapons and attacks are still too much for Godzilla to overcome, even in a tag team with Caesar. After barraging them with the full salvo of all of his weapons, Mechagodzilla takes to the air to finish Godzilla off, blasting him from the sky. And the movie is not shy about showcasing how devastating these attacks are. The more damage Godzilla takes, the worse his injuries become, to the point where he is literally spurting blood from the wounds on his neck. The scene doesn't hold back in conveying the clear message that this hurts. Godzilla is literally on the ropes when he goes down and looks to be in a lot of pain. He even stops moving, as if to give up and admit defeat. And as if to add insult to injury, Mechagodzilla fires a salvo of finger missiles into the Big G's chest, where they lodge into his skin rather than exploding. A final taunt from a superior foe. This is clearly the most pain we've seen Godzilla in. Blood has spurted from his neck, his torso is absolutely covered in red, he has missiles stabbed into him like darts, and his body is smoking from the laser beams it sustained. All the while, Godzilla has only landed one successful hit on his mechanical duplicate. It seems that Godzilla is truly down and out at this point. However, the scene shows that Godzilla does not give up. While a struggle at first, we see Godzilla trying to rise to his feet, and when he does, he stands proud as the camera lingers on his face, showing determination in defiance of the imposter's onslaught. That is a face that says, I may be hurt, but I'm not done yet. And Godzilla stands ready to reveal his new trick that turns the tide in his favor. This to me shows why Godzilla is the king. He literally just took the most brutal beating of his career up until this point, sustaining severe blood loss and is now sporting several puncture wounds. And yet, despite all of that, he is still willing to stand, ready to fight. He's not going to give up his crown without demonstrating why it belongs to him. The determination of a king gives him the will to keep going, to keep fighting, and to hold on long enough to reveal what he's had hidden up his sleeves since their last bout. After absorbing energy from lightning strikes, Godzilla unveils his new power, electrifying his body, sending sparks shooting from his back. This proves to be the ace up his sleeves, as this energy has transformed Godzilla into a gigantic electromagnet that draws in all metal objects towards his body. Now granted, we don't know the composition of the space titanium Mechagodzilla is made from, but one can assume that Godzilla's feat is impressive considering that terrestrial titanium is not magnetic. But it works, as Godzilla uses this force to draw in his evil robotic clone, preventing him from escaping and trapping him. The battle concludes with an epic scene of Caesar charging into the cyborg's chest, striking it hard while Godzilla holds the machine still, his magnetism clearly damaging the robot's telemetry and inner workings, rendering it inoperable. The attacks continue until Godzilla goes in for the final blow, twisting Mechagodzilla's head around against the gear mechanism until pushing it too far past its limit, breaking it off, demonstrating once again that he, Godzilla, is king. It is for these reasons and more that I chose this to be my one monstrous moment. Well, there you goes. You both did two monstrous moments that are from different movies, but were similar enough in themes to perfectly complement each other. Yeah, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought. If anything, it was actually kind of fitting. Agreed. Your insights work nicely with my own. Maybe we not so different after all. Yeah, I think we made a pretty good team there for a second. You wish to do again sometime? Let's not go that far, but what I am saying is that it seemed fitting. Like Godzilla and Kong, we may not get along, but we were willing to set aside our differences and work together to achieve a common goal. Well said, kid. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yes, but we not addressing issue here. Monstrous moment complete, but universes still entangled. Temporal distortion still in effect. That's right. So, if doing your monstrous moments together didn't fix it, then it must not have been what caused it. Then the question is, what did? Bow to me! What the heck is that? Puny mortals, I have come for your souls. Shao Kahn? Yes, it was me. I merged your realms together to make them easier for conquest. Your worlds will be absorbed into our world, and you will all be made to serve me. You will gather a team of your realm's strongest warriors to compete in mortal combat. They will all fall before the forces of my armies and die bloody and without mercy. Soon I shall conquer your worlds and enslave your races. All shall tremble before me. We think not. Let's do this. I hope you all enjoyed this video and share what you think. But we also want to hear from you now. Share your own monstrous moments from the Godzilla franchise down below. Or better yet, make your own videos exploring which scenes from the franchise speak to you and which truly have merit to be focused on. Other than that, hope you all have a great day, and let them hear you roar!